Hey guys, and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Shadow of the Erdtree. Today we're taking a look at the very cool, very hidden swords of light and of darkness. You may have found the original forms yourself, these strange stone swords that are stuck in its sheath. You might have even found yours in a different location to the one I just showed, because that's actually intentional. Now, did you know you can turn that stone sword into a magical weapon of light, or if you want, darkness? And each comes with their own unique Ash of War, spreading out some kind of AoE around this very iconic spin attack. Darkness spreading this darkness smoke cloud where the light shoots out these beams all around you. And while you can only get one of these weapons per playthrough, if you don't get the other dropped to you by a friend or by going into New Game Plus, they do seem to work best in combination, like I'm showing here. This is because the Sword of Light buffs you. It increases your holy damage, but then the Sword of Darkness, that debuffs the enemies to take more holy damage by lowering their holy negation stat. So combine that self buff and that enemy debuff with a suitable holy damage based build, and you've got something quite interesting here. Though admittedly, the stats on the weapons are quite weird, there is some potential here all the same. So let's break down what's exactly happening here, starting with the Sword of Light. Using this Ash of War, the Light Ash of War as it's called, it gives you a body buff, which you can see is kind of giving me those white lines on my body. That's interesting because if I unequip that sword, I still have the body buff, still affecting me and increasing my holy damage. That's quite a useful utility thing. Any build that's using holy damage should have that sword on hand just to use the Ash of War before a boss fight or whatever, because it's just going to enhance your output. That alone is really valuable. Now, to be more specific, based on my testing, that buff that increases all the holy damage you deal is going to increase the holy damage you deal by roughly 12%. In my test, I was going from 1,283 to 1,419 when applying it raw. So that's pretty damn good. Then on the other hand, we have the other Ash of War, just darkness on the Sword of Darkness, applying this wide-reaching darkness smoke cloud around us. Remember, both Ashes of War deal damage, which is great, but in this case, we're applying this debuff, which makes the enemy take more holy damage by lowering their holy negation. Now that turns out to be by almost 20%. In this test, with no buffs going or anything, I hit the golem first for 5,756, and then the follow-up was 6,908. So, frankly, it's viable to buff yourself with any holy related buff you can, and then go into the fight by spamming the Sword of Darkness over and over with its Ash of War. Instead of that though, it could be a good idea to work in some incants like I do. In my case, I was working and playing with the new incantations, the golden arcs, or the bigger giant golden arc for the bigger damage it does. They both deal great damage, be that burst with the smaller shots or the heavy hits with the giant one, which, as it turns out, can even stagger bosses. So I think it could be a good idea, whatever holy incant you choose to really use, just because the weapon stats, like I say, are awkward. If you're going to have these weapons be your main source of holy, which as you can see they are, mix of physical and holy, the scaling is really bad. C in strength and then D in dex and faith, even at plus 10. So if you were to do a faith build to commit to this maximum faith style, but rely on these weapons to be your main output of that, it's not going to be very strong. Instead of relying on them as weapons then, we just rely on their ashes to buff and debuff foes, and maybe even a source of damage by using one of their ashes to be your main holy damage. Or, like I said, just simply start spamming a holy incant at the target, and that's probably best. Since we'll be juiced up and they'll be extra weak to it, it is very effective. And also it's just a fun concept. New unique weapons with new ashes, and maybe some new incants at the same time. So consider trying it yourself, but now let's actually explain how you get them. The truth is, you can get this stone sheath sword at any of 3 altars in the game. The first one you find at loot is where you're going to get the stone sword. These locations are first the Fog Rift Catacombs. Second, the Ruins of Unti, which is found in the castle watering hole below the Shadow Keep. And third is here in this tower, which you access via the ancient ruins of Rao, the high point, by passing through the Shadow Keep, crossing the main bridge, and working your way to that tower. There's actually an invisible bridge that leads to it, which is pretty cool. So when you pick up one of these stone swords, the other 2 altars that remain that you didn't pick this sword up at turn into either a light altar or a darkness altar. So let's explain the 3 locations more specifically. Starting with the Fog Rift Catacombs. Easiest to access because you can do this from the first region. Head into the catacombs and simply pass through normally until eventually you reach this massive room following the main path. It has a trap like the other rooms you'll encounter here, where you'll be crushed by spikes if you don't run into the little alcoves for safety between the drops. Annoyingly here, there is a caster shooting at you at the other end of the big room while you're doing that. But he's your target, that's where you want to go. So make your way down the room carefully, head to him, defeat him and also the extra mobs that are going to attack you when you get there. And when you're ready, stand where the caster was and face the room you just crossed. If you step close to the ledge here, it activates the trap, bringing it down. And as you're looking this way, you can see there's a little ledge, a little room even, that you can jump into to bring you up high. Turn around when you're up high and you'll see there's a ledge now, a balcony with a chest that you can jump down to. You might as well loot that, but that's not why we're here. Turn around and jump down onto the trap we can now make use of like it's a bridge to travel to the other side where there's a ledge on our right here. That is one of our altars where you can find your stone sword or maybe convert it into one of the upgraded ones if you already have one. Next then we have the ruins of Unti, which is in the watering hole just below the Shadow Keep. If for some reason you've not found that location yet, come to the Shadow Keep in the scadutree location, make your way into the entrance, defeat the boss that stops you, pass through the castle going left and then crossing this main bridge. If you come down the ramp you can activate a shortcut here, but specifically in about this location is a ladder. Take the ladder down, you'll find some water hiding a little sewer entrance. In there you find a painting room, but also an illusion wall. Break it by attacking or rolling into it, and through there you find the suspicious coffin that takes you down when you enter it into the castle watering hole area. The problem with the ruins of Unti is that it's blocked by a sleeping furnace golem. You'll need to craft one of these, a hefty furnace pot, requiring some red flesh mushrooms you find everywhere, embers of Messmer, which are found in Scadutree or in the Shadow Keep itself, and then the furnace visages, which you get by killing the golems, or where we're going to get the recipe for this. So if you don't have that recipe, come to the first region. The closest grace is either the Free Path Cross or the Great Bridge North, and you need to loot this shack below the Elec Great Bridge, the rundown Traveler's Rest. Just come down from this grace or whatever and go there, you'll find the recipe and some crafting materials. In any case, now you're going to be able to deal with the furnace golem. On the north side of where it's sleeping, there's some ruins here we can climb up and then stand on a little balcony. The perfect height for the throw, sending it straight into the basket. This will activate the golem. Now you can head into the ruins now the passage is open, or first kill the golem if you want to. Either way, as you enter here, on the right side is the altar. Our final location is this tower here, located in the ancient ruins of Ral. Again, to reach this location, you need to pass through the Shadow Keep. This time passing through it normally, going to the heart, where you'll find this big room, the storehouse, and its first floor grace. Immediately at this grace, turn west, and you'll find this room with an elevator leading down into a kind of jar hospital. You pass through that, cross the massive bridge by riding torrent, and eventually come to the viaduct minor tower. Then you come southwest, pass through this ruins here, coming out to the water of the ruins, ancient ruins east, cross the main bridge, coming south, finally to this grace where we're standing now. Okay, so from the west grace that we've just shown, in the interest of you not losing your way, I'm just going to put some music and fast travel there. You can follow along. Obviously, I would recommend you do not do what I just did and rush through there and nearly die. But the point is, you get here. And you might be wondering, okay, how are we going to get there? Well, it's an invisible bridge. Yes, there's one in the DLC. Very cool. If you just follow the straight line, you should be fine. And this is one of the altars, which is actually where I believe I found my first stone sword. But now you've got the 3 locations. Pick one and go grab a stone sword. Then bring that sword to either of the other 2 locations and convert it into either the light or darkness sword. As a helpful tip, you can turn a sword of light into a sword of darkness at a different altar, or vice versa after you've made the first transformation. And even better, you can swap back and forth by visiting those shrines. It'll even maintain whatever current upgrade status it has whenever you swap. That's really cool. But unfortunately, as I've said, you will need a friend to drop you another stone sword, like I had. Worst case, you could go get one sword, then go do New Game Plus, come back and get a second sword, but obviously that's a lot more effort than having a friend drop you. But there you have it. That's my little guide to the swords of light and darkness, how they're really working, and what we suggest you try with them. I hope this overview was useful, and if it was, please do drop a like. Also, if you have any extra information about the weapons, be sure to let us know with a comment. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.